Even in the dark, you gotta see the light. Cause if you want success, it comes with sacrifice. Even when they tell you no 100.
Everyone hear me?
You keep going hard.
You guys can hear me, right? Welcome everyone, ComplexCon Chicago. Today we have a great panel on a topic that's been bubbling in sneaker culture for the last few years. And I have two esteemed guests that are going to help us break down who's more valuable to brands, athletes or entertainers. The first guest is the man behind the deals with pop culture icons like Kanye West, Pharrell, Donald Glover, Beyonce, and more. Please welcome the Global Director of Entertainment and Influencer Marketing from Adidas, Jon Wexler. Vice President, by the way, he's the most. Oh, Vice President, see? The LinkedIn, you got to update the LinkedIn. The second is the undisputed sneaker king of the NBA. You never know what this guy's going to wear next. Please welcome from the Houston Rockets, PJ Tucker. You guys see the encore forward? All right, so let's get right into it. I remember in around 2003, 50 Cent said that Reebok signed Jay-Z and himself to deal with the loss of losing LeBron to Nike. You know, 2019, we're here now. What do you guys think is the biggest difference between endorsement deals back then and now?
I guess that's to me.
Both you guys, but
The biggest deal between endorsement deals then and now is just a different philosophy about the marketplace in general. Then social media really hadn't kicked in. There was still like major networks where you watch sports every Sunday. Nowadays, you can find a reflection of what interests you and how you want to express yourself through entertainers, through artists, through all different types of creative community, members of the creative community. So I think endorsements have just gotten broader, and it's about finding people who are, creative enough that they cut through the noise of that fractured landscape and, start to work with brands and express it on our platform.
And that was a time before like the tunnel picks and things like that, and before players like yourself for pregame were wearing kind of like fit pics and getting photographed, and those deals were successful. And do you guys remember like back then and how important that was, like seeing Jay-Z get his own sneaker?
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Like that was crazy. Like that, I mean, like this is still like waiting in lines before raffles. Like this is like really like for the hood. Like I was in the hood then. Like,
yeah.
It was like, yo, Jay-Z got his own shoe. Like Jay-Z with Reebok, like, it was like a big deal, and then like how he like incorporated like the Gucci colors and like the stuff he gave to it, the energy was like monumental. And I think like that was like the beginning of it, like especially like the real entertainers, like really that influence really showing, with the brands.
And PJ, what would you say, like I said in the intro, no one ever knows what you're going to wear. And obviously you play so many games a season. Do you see the reaction of your off-court sneakers get more reaction than the sneakers you play in? Or
no.
It's split.
No, kids, I disappoint kids daily. It's like I was at HEB literally in like my like nightgown, like my bed clothes, like seriously with some like beaters on. Like, and this kid walked up, he was like, "Man, I thought you was gonna have on some heat." No, bro, I'm a dad, bro. I'm like, I never do that, so it's a problem.
And Wex, you work at a brand where it always seems like for brands that it starts with function and technology. Do you think when you do a collaboration with entertainers, is there as much emphasis on the function as there is in an athletic signature shoe?
I think that consumers just expect things to work. So if it doesn't have functionality to it, you're not meeting just the baseline of the expectation. So technology plays a big role in that. Comfort, Boost technology has been a real shining light for us when it comes to that. 4D, always innovating. But yeah, if the functionality isn't there, and obviously the design stems from that, at Adidas we're really trying to like take more of the approach of what the athlete needs and nothing more. So really trying to simplify down and just deliver the most authentic and simplistic, clean items. And if those things do not have those technologies, and it just, you can't go to market with it anymore.
PJ, you debuted the Fear of God sneakers on court. And, to me, it was something that it shows how, I don't know if it was through Nike, but it shows how important the emphasis is of, Jerry getting the collaboration, and it's a basketball shoe. And, a lot of people we'd see, even this weekend, wearing them off court. But for you to wear them on court, how important do you think that is, that the brands put emphasis that these have to be playable?
That was, the way that worked is super interesting because it wasn't the brand, it was actually Jerry.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
okay.
So me and Jerry at Fashion Week in Paris, and literally, he grabs me and is like, hey, I gotta tell you something, but you can't tell nobody. Like, it was like one of those things. I'm like, what? Like, crazy. He's like, yo, and he showed me, and I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Like, this is gonna be crazy. He's like, and you gotta wear it. You gotta wear it, opening night. Blah, blah. He painted this whole picture, and I'm like,
yeah,
it's gonna be crazy. Right? It's like to see it all come together in the way he did it. And we talked about it then. It was crazy for that to come together, and for him to go through all the stuff he went through to get that to happen was amazing. But I love how he exploited the gray area, like the off court, on court. What you can wear, the functionality, how you can really just those blurred lines, how you can really just make it all work and end up being an incredible product. So Jerry's
crazy.
Jerry. Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's funny you say that he kind of did it on the low.
Right.
I think we're used to brands being so buttoned up that they want the proper rollout and things like that. Wex, do you see a lot more of that where it's kind of a conversation and it's not, thrown up the rungs in corporate, like how that came about, or do you still think it's buttoned up?
It's the answer to that is yes. So you're always going to have people who are challenging the status quo from an internal standpoint, trying to get whatever it is that they've put their energy into out on the court. For on-court validation, it's very critical. Mm-hmm. Going back into the functionality piece, but also just if you're designing something for players, if they reject it, you haven't met your objectives. So as a designer or the brand creating it, you always want that. And people will go through every wall imaginable and every obstacle imaginable to achieve that if they believe in it enough. But obviously the safety and, there's certain risk involved when something, it's got to go through the testing and it's got to be proper before you start, side hustling your products on court. But yeah, as long as player safety is not a concern, absolutely you want to get this stuff on there.
How many of you guys saw the Forbes article on Kanye West? Bunch, right? You saw it, right? So you were obviously instrumental in bringing Kanye to the brand. And one thing that really stuck out from that article is that Forbes reported he's almost half of what Jordan Brand earned in a shorter amount of time. It's Kanye, so the momentum's always going to be there. But is there a pressure to keep that momentum up?
No pressure, Joe.
Yeah, no pressure.
Right? No, it's all, when you work with someone who's creative and just revolutionary, visionary, as a person like Kanye West, the objective for the brand is to put the infrastructure around it. All he needed was the infrastructure to support the vision and to bring our, two worlds together. When we do that, when Yeezy and Adidas stand next to each other, you can go so much farther than if he tried to do it on his own or if we try to do it on our own. And we've struck that energy at that intersection of, sport and culture in such a way. He's just constantly innovating. That one photo from above, to me, the coolest thing about that photo was how much it looked like the photo from above from Coachella, the Sunday service. He is creating art in every moment of his life, and it's just what he chooses to release to the world. The music that's being created in there at all times too. Someday it'll hopefully have the same type of unveiling. But yeah, our job is to enable creators like him. You mentioned some of the people we work with. We also work with Daniel Arsham and people in the art space, a couple of new people will be coming on soon from different creative communities. And our role is to bring that creativity to the marketplace. And Kanye is the shining epitome of that. And his influence is just so vast.
PJ, we talked about this on Sneaker Shopping, but I want to ask you again. You play with Chris Paul, play with James Harden. What's it like in the locker room? Chris Paul, a Jordan athlete, James with Adidas, and then you just kind of probably flex on both of them. What on a given time is that like? But you also said CP has some stuff that no one's seen.
Yeah, but CP's like,
Anyway, so what's it like?
No, because it's like the moment to actually get me. Like I told the story, like the Jeter 11, and he's like, yo, I was like, yo, you seen him? He's like, nah. He's like, nah. I'm like, oh, all right. 48 hours. He walked in with him, and I was like, okay.
And you had him. You had him on.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You got it. Hey, listen, you got it, bro. Like it's that thing. Like and like we were just back talking about James. Like he just like cares so much about his. Like so, anytime like CP has a pair that James doesn't really like, he's like,
yeah.
Like it's like that odd competition, but not really, but kind of really, but not really.
And now this year you're gonna have another. This year you're gonna have another.
And now it's it's gonna be tough.
Wex, what is more important right now? If a shoe gets picked up in a game that James drops like 50 points in, or he debuts an off-court sneaker and it gets, the internet explodes. How is that measured? Is it measured in the same way? Can you guys tell the difference in terms of how mass it goes?
We're definitely tracking all that stuff incessantly. There's definitely some art to that science, but there's so much. Everyone's got numbers now, and you can always track internet and digital and shares and likes, engagement, sales. There's so many factors you can pick. For me, it's how meaningful it is to the kid. Regardless of what venue it comes from, if we create impact with our consumer and they think, that lifts all boats. So the whole brand wins when James wins. So, I hope he gets wins in, both on the court for the products we create with him and off the court with the products we create with him. James is just the ultimate creator on the floor, though. And for us, it's about how we can reflect that across his, not just within this game, but within the rest of the world, and how we can bring that off the court and surround him with, I just saw him doing something really great yesterday with on the ground with kids. The room was packed, and he's just such an amazing personality and character. Really inspirational guy.
PJ, we live, sneaker culture and sneaker heads are in this I need them first type of, I need them first type of mentality. You obviously, every time you wear something, the blogs pick it up. If Complex doesn't post in like a minute and a half, they get a text from me like, what are you guys waiting for? So are you competitive? It seems like so many more NBA players are kind of following that type of pre-game flexing a little bit. And are you competitive with that?
Honestly, like, and me and my friends talk about this all the time, like, it's something like, it's like embedded in me since I was like a kid. Like, it's not a competition, it's just what I do. Like, it's just what you do. You get up, you go to work, I wake up, I pick shoes, it's just what I do. So for me, like even walking in the game with shoes, everybody's like, oh, like it's a flex. And it's like, no. These are just the shoes I picked that I'm gonna play in tonight. Like I'm literally bringing them into the game. It's like, I'm not really trying to flex. I mean, if you think it is, whatever, but I'm about to wear them. So that's how that all came about. But for me, honestly, it's just being myself. Like, and I think that is the like core essence of the culture. Being able to wear certain things to express yourself and how you feel, and how I feel today. I pick my game shoes every game day. That day, I go and I pick out which ones I want to wear. Depends on how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And that's just how I dress. That's how I feel today. Like, it's not about trying to flex on somebody or wear certain things at certain times. It's my personal reflection of me.
I love the tunnel walk. It's so
yeah, it's changed. The tunnel has changed everything. And PJ, I always heard that you were like the sneaker king before it was officially dubbed the sneaker king. Do you feel like we've like caught up and like this is just what I've been doing for years, and now the internet's set up like this, so I'm getting this notoriety?
For me, it was the internet and going to Houston and playing on a good team and winning and being around that at the same time. Like, you know, even nobody cared what I wore on the Phoenix Suns when we won 17 games. Like, nobody cares. Like, sweet shoes, you lost by 50. Like, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. But, you know, you start winning, good team, and you're around other guys with good personalities that, you know, kind of all, you know, the whole tunnel thing and all that. Like, it all came together that way, but it's interesting.
It's funny.
There was a time back when the Jay-Z and 50 deal, and even when Kanye was Nike, it was so unheard of to have entertainers do athletic shoes. Isn't it crazy that now we see some of the most sought after shoes are not athletes? And
Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. And as you being someone who's kind of ushered in that type of thinking, do you think the industry was late on it? Do you think it was right on time, or what?
For Adidas, it's just part of our DNA. I mean, we incepted, I know you guys were talking about Jay-Z earlier and how pivotal that was, and kudos to Reebok for having the vision on that. That started in 1986 with Run DMC with the song My Adidas, when they created a VHS videotape and sent it to the guys in Germany and said, look what we just did. We made this song about shell toes, which at that point in time were being worn by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and various other NBA players, because the shell on the shell toe of the shoe is an abrasion zone for pivot on court. So it's just a performance model. That's what it was made for. Then Run DMC, yeah. And there was actually a tennis shoe called the Wilhelm Bungert before it that had like a smoother shell toe, but same thing for toe drag with tennis. And so Run DMC makes this video, sends it over to Germany. This dude named Angelo Anastasio sees it, comes over to New York. They do that MSG show, 22,000 kids with their shell toes over their head during My Adidas. That's when this started.
Yeah.
And that has always been in the DNA of our brand, because our founder of our company handmade boxing boots for Muhammad Ali. The founder of our company heard about this guy from Kentucky, I think, or wherever, named Jesse Owens, who was this fast runner that he thought he could make faster. Took a train 5.5 hours from where we're based in Germany to Berlin and started bringing him track spikes, and the rest is history. Jesse Owens, record setter. So for us, it's always about just how can we add value to a situation? You know, people in our industry, it's always about commercialization. How much business can you do? You know, that was the early indictment on the Kanye business from Matt Powell at MPD Group, was it'll never be commercial.
Who's that guy?
I don't know. But the point of what I'm trying to say is it's more about value creation than commercialization. And Kanye always brought value. There's always value in bringing worlds together and creating interest through that. You open it up to a whole broader audience. So, you know, the entertainment piece that's happening right now, I definitely see other brands trying to replicate our playbook, and some are doing it to a better extent than others. But that will become a floor item, just like athletes had been since 1968 at the Mexico Olympics, when brands started paying people to wear their shoes.
For both of you guys, how do you when do you think endorsement deals fail, and why?
When they're inauthentic and transactional only.
And is that basically, we sign this person, we're gonna have a photo shoot, we're gonna roll it out, and then you're never gonna see this person in the shoes again?
Fortunately, we don't have too many of those.
Yeah.
For me, it's like we want to work with people who want to work with us. It's about reciprocity. You know, like no one shows more love to the brand he works with than this guy. That we want people like that.
Yeah.
You know, people who are repping because it's really who they are in their soul. It's not paid, it's not fake, it's just on the surface, and it's deep too. So we kind of look for people who wave the flag as hard as they can at us and try to go there.
Wex, you sign a lot of people, a lot of icons. How do you differentiate and make each one stand out and build the story? You know, I think you announced Cudi signed recently and super influential. How do you craft a different story between all these people you're signing?
So there's a team within Adidas that works on creating stories with all those partners. They're called the Statement Team, and they have a very fluid conversation and dialogue with our partners, kind of learn as much as they can about them through the research they conduct, and then go face-to-face, kind of closet pull, or just sit and download with them about what they're feeling is happening in the marketplace. Because the people we try to pull in are people who are curating the future of how everyone will be dressing.
Yeah.
You know, Kanye, Pharrell, Kid Cudi, those are sort of three, and then Push, Glover, etc. So we try to really bring in people who can kind of play a specific role in that story, and everyone has a different piece within the portfolio that they bring to life. So Pharrell has the Hue Initiative, Human Race, all about health and wellness, and the stories that we've been creating with him. Tori Bowie, as part of that, you know, Olympic athlete, etc. Then with Cudi, he has such a like zeitgeist, creative style, personality, that the stuff that he is sharing with our team right now is honestly blowing their minds. And so I'm so excited about what that'll look like when it comes out. And then it's definitely Cudi, like left of center, creative genius. And then, you know, obviously Kanye is sort of, he's designing shoes for 3020, not 2020. So, yeah, and then, when the Beyonce partnership comes online, that'll obviously play a very unique territory as well.
You guys been talking about that yet, or?
We announced the partnership about a month and a half ago, and things are in development.
Okay.
Yeah, very layered, very layered. It's gonna be great.
PJ, back there you said something interesting. You said a lot of times, we don't see the reverse. We don't see the athletes making off court as much as it goes the other way, where entertainers are collaborating on kind of an athletic shoe. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It was a question I asked him. He's a boss and I'm a player, so that was one of those backstage questions. Let's ask him.
Yeah, that
was my question.
I was actually talking to our PR guy over here. What was the question? I'm sorry.
He was saying backstage that like rarely we see it go the other way. Athletes designing kind of like an off-court shoe and it's sticking. Why do you think that's not as prevalent as entertainer?
There's two pieces of that. I think that from when an athlete tries to transition to the off court, basically the entire audience that's going to want that shoe is the audience of that athlete when they're on court. So you're kind of like making the audience much thinner, because there are people who will buy that signature shoe because it's like, oh, that's the athlete that is the best in the game, so I want that shoe. James Harden, etc. They're the MVP, whatever. I want that. But on the entertainment side, no one's ever really taken it from street to court successfully. But there are some things in the works around that as well. And one of the examples was already discussed here. So I think that's going to happen more.
This like more like the energy. Like I feel like even in times where it does kinda happen, the energy put towards that is not the same. So it's like now with social media, we're talking about the visibility. Most people, like kids, want LeBron's because what he wears on the court, okay? But now he's getting seen more off the court just as much as he's on the court.
Yeah,
so it's like, okay, he wears these Air Maxes or he wears these, he's like whatever he's
when he's
wearing.
off the court, he's not wearing his own.
Right, he's not
wearing. Yeah, I've noticed that.
Well, he could be wearing a Travis or
right,
Virgil.
Exactly. But instead, actual shoe that is off the court. Like that's, for me, I think that's the bigger picture of how it's kind of turning right now, I think.
It's interesting.
It's a different take. And maybe other athletes don't feel that way, but I think that is like a much bigger piece to it all right now, especially how things are going right now.
Yeah, the cachet of like the sexiness of the non-athlete shoes definitely is cresting right now.
We saw in the Forbes article a bunch of prototypes, and a lot of people screen grabbed a bunch of basketball silhouettes that Kanye's working on.
The funnel. This was all the funnel. I see now.
Well, okay. You have 5 minutes left.
All right.
He's supposed to wear him today, man. He let us down. He let us down.
But everyone picked that up. And to me, this whole panel, not this whole panel, but seeing how that plays out can really help answer this question about who's more valuable. What can we expect from that Yeezy basketball line? And those prototypes, you know, Kanye's very calculated, so they were in the shot for a reason. You don't have to give a release date or anything like that, but don't you guys at least think that seeing how that plays out is kind of an answer made for this panel? If Kanye can make Adidas basketball explode,
What are we talking about?
There's no
this,
What are we talking about? Like,
No
Joe,
if.
you're saying if. Like,
No if.
there is no if in that.
It's just is.
We're
But
playing
yeah,
in the ones that wasn't even, me and Nick Young played in the ones that weren't even basketball shoes. So
Did
now
you?
it's an actual
Yeah.
basketball shoe? Like,
yeah,
come on.
it's gonna be crazy. I know. I've been like debating it. We actually talked
does
about
he
it
feel
backstage.
does he feel more pressure, do you think, for that than the kind of off court?
I could not get in his head to know what he feels more pressure about. But I know he's passionate about it, and as is everything that he puts his name on. So when or if it comes out eventually, it will,
This
you
is
know,
crazy.
shake the foundation of the industry.
Gosh.
And I mean, like anything else, it's he just wore some new product out recently, and it went everywhere as well. He's just got that ability to. He's just such a master storyteller that people are kind of like waiting for that next move because they want to move how he's moving. And so if he moves into basketball, that's going to actually help the entire category. That won't just lift our basketball category, but the whole industry. And that's actually a risk to me, in my opinion. But hopefully we can mitigate
like
it.
all the rappers want to make basketball shoes now?
No, I just mean like it might help.
It could essentially change everything.
Yeah.
So when are those releasing?
Yes, is as good as mine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, that is our time. I want to thank these guys, two no better people to discuss this topic. PJ Tucker, Jon Wexler.
Down there. It's so nice to meet you. So nice to meet you.
Thank everyone for coming out. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of ComplexCon.